You're listening to Shoe In, covering the ins and outs of all things footwear, from sneakers to heels, loafers to slippers, and every type of shoe in between. Brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. And now your footwear insiders, Matt Priest and Andy Holt.
Folks, welcome back to the show.
Welcome back, party people.
Thanks for joining us once again.
Yep.
We are still at Effin' Platform. We've taken a range of issues. Some great people have stopped by.
Effin' Platform, we're still here.
Still here.
We're sleeping at the convention
I feel like it never ends.
One more day.
That's right.
One more
That's
day.
right. I feel like it never ends. As soon as you finish this one, you're already planning for the next one,
I know.
right? So that's all right. Jasmine's here with us.
What's up,
Yes.
Jasmine?
Mm-hmm.
Jasmine's had a great show. She's running all over the place, talking to all sorts of people about their products,
She
brands,
is.
getting inspiration for her own product line, perhaps. one
Really?
day.
Wow.
Those are some
Too
big
bold?
aspirations.
I just want to plant the seeds. I'm just Johnny Appleseed trying to spread the love and inspiration around.
Soon to be personal stylist to the stars.
Personal
That's
stylist,
right.
that's right. But, one thing that we're constantly asked by people who are trying to break into the industry is, hey, I got an idea for a brand, and, can you help me? And we're like, yeah, we can, but it's not going to be easy.
Exactly.
Are you getting ready?
Yep.
It's all these things. Because a lot of people come in and they may have these great designs and these great ideas. They just don't have the business side behind it.
Right.
Some people have the business side, but they don't have the great
crappy
designs.
ideas and
So
designs.
so it's kind of the marriage of the two. And we thought, why not have somebody on the show who actually has launched a brand or brands
Yep.
in the last year or two, and can come in and say, hey, you know what? This is how I did it. These are some things that we did really well. These are things I wish we did better.
Yeah.
But who we got?
We got Bill Snowden
Uh-oh.
of Jane in the Shoe, Snowden Brothers fame. Bill is actually a text buddy of mine, a good friend. When I got to FDRA 9 years ago, there was like one other guy near his 40s on the board, and that was Bill. So I kind of gravitated towards
just
him.
aged me.
Yeah, and so we've been close ever since. And so to have him on the podcast, we're gonna have a lot of fun with this. Welcome,
Yeah,
Bill.
thanks for joining us.
Thanks for
coming on.
having me. Thanks for having me. Good
So
to see you guys.
guys have just launched your own brand, and one of the things I want to get to based on kind of the opening comments Andy had talked about was how you went through that process. But you, dude, when you rolled out, you had shoes on your feet the moment you took your first breath, because you come from a long line of shoe families. Tell us your shoe story. How on earth did you get into this wacky industry that we all love? And then we'll dive into Jane and the shoe.
Okay, well, I'll blame my dad. So he was in the business when I was born.
Yeah.
We talked about it at the dinner table. When I was young, he used cheap labor and brought me and my brother to the office, and we'd unpack shoes, and we'd repack shoes, and we'd file this and file that, and all of a sudden, you're addicted. It's weird.
Isn't it weird?
You don't think you're going to get, like, people ask me, like, what are you going to do when you get older? I'm like, I don't know. You're not going in the shoe business? Boy, I guess I probably should, right? I mean, like, that's what you do,
See,
right?
you plant the seeds just like I did
And
with Jasmine.
exactly. And all of a sudden, like, oh, crap.
Jedi mind trick, Dad.
Let's see, I just got out of college. What am I going to do next? And I'm like, okay, let's do this. Let's give this a run. And we had a great run. We had a great time. You know, you work with your dad, you work with your brother, and all of a sudden, all these great people, and you can't get out.
Yeah.
And then you realize it's actually a lot of fun. And, obviously today in the digital world, you have all these buddies that are in digital, and they're like, really, you put something in a bag and get on a plane and you go? And I'm like, yeah. Really? That's weird.
You interact with people?
Yes, you talk to people.
Oh, my gosh.
I touch a product. I get passionate about it. You get excited. I mean, that's how you fall in love with the product. And once you do that, it's like, so here I am now. I'll let you guys do the math. This many years later.
Yeah.
Now I've known Matt for 9 years, and I was 40.
Yeah.
And we just said, let's do it again. We had the opportunity, when we transitioned our business, we got acquired. The core business got acquired, and we said, my brother and I, like, sit down, like, what are we going to do next?
Yeah.
We know two things. We know shoes and we know people, and that's what we did. Right?
Yeah.
Let's do it again.
Right.
So we did. That's
So where do you
4
start
years later.
from?
We're here.
Where do you start from? Creating the name, creating the idea of what you want, like creating, the factory base or the design. Where do you start?
Well, we started, I'll tell you with the name first. So we incorporated, I think it was May of, almost 4 years ago, 14. And we're getting ready for the shoe show. And we're coming up with all these great names and ideas. And every time you run them by the lawyers, like, taken. I'm like, oh, no, we got to make samples. We got to put something in the shoes. What are we going to put in there? Rick texts me from China and goes, "Oh, here's the new logo. S for Snowden." I'm like, "Whoa, that's creative. People are going to give us high marks for creativity, right?"
Yeah.
All right, so we do that. We're like, okay, so there it is. And like, you come back and I go, "What's the name of the company?" Snowden Brothers. Oh, well, that's really creative. Actually, no, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
You've been around the business a long time. You're brothers. It connotates family. It connotates
your name has a certain
legacy.
cachet with
It
the,
connotates consistency, and
Sure.
people have an appreciation and understanding of that. So that's kind of how we got the Snowden Brother name. The Jane thing was even more interesting. It's a two-part story. Rick and I, when we shop, we're always looking at feet. And so we say, "Oh, that girl over there." Well, that girl became the ubiquitous Jane, right? It's like, "Jane, where's Jane at?" "Oh, Jane's over there. Check out her shoes." So we're shopping through Europe one day, and Jane happens to walk in this juice store called Joe and the Juice. I'm like, "Cool. How funny is that? Jane and the shoe. Look at Jane and the shoe. Joe and the Juice." And actually, Joe and the Juice hasn't sponsored this, so I probably should call them.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, so we come back from Europe and we say, "Hey, what about Jane and the shoe?" And they're like, "Oh my God, that is fabulous." I'm like, "Oh, no, we're joking." "No, you're not
you gotta
joking.
go with
You've
it."
got to go with it." I'm
Yeah.
like,
Right.
No, can't go with that. We got to be much cooler and interesting. You have to go with Jane and the shoe. And of course, we're not of the age of we're a junior shoe brand, right? So we're asking all these young girls like, "Oh no, that is so fantastic. Keep it." So we kept it. And so there's really no magic formula to it, right? It's a brand is a story. A brand
Right.
is what you make it to be. So we've made it into Jane in the Shoe. And Jane in the Shoe for us is you can be Jane in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, at night. Jane is everybody all the time, everywhere.
Right. Right.
So it's kind of worked out. It's worked into the story. It's worked into the brand. And so you don't have to go pay a marketing firm a bunch of money to do that.
Right.
Yeah,
Unless
clearly
you guys are
not.
sponsored by a marketing firm.
Just have your brother and
I'll plug the
you
firm.
hang out in Europe, write an S on something.
Yeah, exactly.
There you
You
go.
just sit at the cafes in Paris and drink wine until something really, really super intelligent comes by and you use it.
There you go.
That's it. There you go. Thank
All
you
right,
for that background
so you got the
noise.
name, and then how do you figure out what product you want to make and sell? I mean, do you is it a gut feeling? Because I mean, you've been in the industry for a long time, and you've obviously been to a lot of shows like this, but still, you're launching your own line, and
Yeah.
and it's a little bit scary, and you got to make sure you get it right, I guess. And so, how do you go through that whole process of figuring out what you want to make?
Well, you have to first enjoy scary. So
Yeah.
it's like the roller coaster, right? We say a lot of it's like the roller coaster. You just love to get on the roller coaster. It scares the crap out of you, and you get back in line when you're done again. So you have to appreciate and enjoy scary. How you do it, I think the biggest thing is you just have to be passionate about it. If you don't love it, don't do it. And you can read that in any business book, and I don't think ours is any different. But that energy comes out and the excitement comes out when you're talking about the shoes and the brand. If you're bored and you're not excited, you don't believe it, it's going to come out in your voice. So.
Right.
That's kind of who we are and what we've lived the whole time. And I would tell you, most people, when we talk to mentor college kids, or you speak to like kids at elementary school with my kids are at, like, what do? Do something you love. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be simple. It just needs to be something you love. Because if it's not, you're not going to work hard. You're not going to be interested. You're not going to go the extra mile on it.
Well,
and it'll come out in your voice.
That means you also love a little part of the risks that goes along. There's
You
a
have to
lot of
love the
faith
risk.
in this this dance you're doing, right?
A lot of faith. Man, I have this, I call it a hashtag signs from above. There sometimes needs to be those kinds of moments that just tell you, okay, you're on the right path. Because a lot of times you question yourself, especially opening a brand in a turbulent environment where we're in retail, right? It's not easy.
Right.
But you have to enjoy that excitement, and you kind of have to have the faith that, okay, that's a sign from above, hashtag signs from above, that something's there. And then you have to have great partners.
Right.
Honestly, I mean, we talk about great people in the industry. There is great people in the industry. That's what keeps everybody in it. And if you don't have great partners that kind of sit down and say, hey, here's the story, here's what we want to do, what do you want to do from a retailer perspective, and you marry those together. So we don't try to partner with everybody.
Right.
I say I'm the oldest, newest startup around because I've been around this long, but yet I'm a young brand. And then we hang out with people that are in the digital decade.
Right.
So we have 4 girls that come in and do all of our marketing, and we do a different girl every day intentionally because Jane is somebody different every day. They have their own voice, and they're head down into their screens. I can do it for about 7 minutes, and they can do it for about 7 hours. They look up, they're happy, and I'm like, boy, how did you do that?
Yeah.
It's just different, right? And so
Totally different.
we have to surround ourselves with people that we're not. And I'm not of the digital decade.
You can't do it all yourself.
No.
You can't do it all yourself. And I think today, I shop differently than they do, and the consumer today, at least the girl we're reaching, may not ever step foot in a space, right? Because she shops on a mobile device.
Right.
How would you guide people to strategize about what to do with the shoe shows? So you're a new brand, and it costs capital to show at the shows or a number of shows.
Right.
How do you approach that? How would you advise people to strategize about what they do at a shoe show in particular, whether it's here or New York or wherever?
Yeah, we have maybe a little bit of an unfair advantage, right, because we've been around it a long time.
Yeah.
I think we just sat down and said, look, here's our key partners, and where do we reach them the best? From a retail perspective, I think the other thing today is you have to have a digital perspective, right? We have certain retailers that are digital only that don't necessarily come to shoe shows. And so we've kind of leaned on our digital decade to help us connect with those people.
Right.
Because you can't do everything, and you can't be everywhere. And,
right.
We're in week 2, and next week's another shoe show, and you can't do 3 shoe shows in a week. So you kind of be thoughtful about it,
right?
Because there's only so much spend,
right?
And I think the other thing is you're never going to always be right. You have to realize that you have to
trial and error, baby.
There's gonna be some nights you go to bed and go, man, I wish I didn't do that. What, was I stupid?
Right.
Well, sometimes you are, but
yes,
most
you were.
of the times you're not. It's just a
signs
calculated
from
risk.
above.
Hashtag signs from above.
Yeah.
You have a few sleepless nights.
I would say, too, the other thing that I've seen of successful people who are trying to break in are the people who stick themselves out there and ask for help.
Yep.
They show up to networking events.
Yep.
They keep showing their face up time and time again until you remember their name, and they keep after it, and they keep after it, and keep after it, and then all of a sudden, we've seen some brands, even a couple of years ago who showed up, didn't have anybody at their booth. They started making the rounds, started talking to people.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, it's like they started asking for the help. People started giving it to them because they knew who they were.
Right.
So you got to it's the digital age, but you still got to hit the pavement and go around and make your face seen, talk to people, ask for the help, get involved, get engaged.
Yeah, no question. And I grew up in a time period where, we had a lot of great industry mentors, right? And you guys know all the people I'm talking about. Those people really took people under their wing and said, look, we're here to help. And they appreciate the persistence. And I think this industry is pretty good at knowing, hey, there's got to be the next generation that's coming up. And if you get identified and you push to get in that group, you're not going to be invited. You have to go out and make yourself be invited.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But you have to do those things.
Yeah.
I went to plenty of things where I was the only guy in the room. I was 10 or 15 years younger than everybody else in the room, and you just kind of, hey, I'm Bill. How are you? What's going on? And sooner or later you'll find that one connection, and you get it, and all of a sudden, that person goes here, and I tell people it's like a spider web.
Totally.
It's a whole spider web of somebody going here, then there, and come back, and it's the hugest, smallest industry I've ever seen. In terms of that, you can walk down these aisles and,
yeah,
hey, how you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
I sold shoes on the floor today. I just saw a buddy of mine that I sold shoes on the floor with.
What floor? Tell us about that. Where were you selling shoes on the floor?
Nordstrom South Coast Plaza, 1989, 1990.
Wow.
The guy I worked for is still in the business. One of the guys on the floor with me is still in the business. We had a reunion about 5 years ago down in Southern California.
Really?
This is, well, I'm already dated for age, so this is about 25 years ago.
Right.
We had a reunion. There's a Facebook page for our group.
Really?
It's crazy, right?
That is crazy.
But that's
crazy awesome.
Crazy cool, right? And you're like, okay, so there's a reason we all kind of stay in this, stay in this crazy thing. But the people are amazing.
Yeah,
for sure.
What about we talked a little bit about starting it up, but at the very beginning we talked a little bit about how some people come to it with great ideas and great designs and all that, and other people come with business knowledge. You and your brother kind of have a division of labor, right? You don't do the same thing. You guys have your strengths and your weaknesses, and you work together, and you focus on specific things. He focuses on specific things.
He
seems
to spend a lot more time in China than you do.
Yeah,
that's true.
No offense.
Congratulations.
Way to
won
go
on that one.
That's perfect.
Once in a while you win, and once in a while you lose. Rick would tell you I have a lot of faults. He has few. He has the few faults. I have many. Actually, no, it works out great. He's the creative guy, and I'm the strategy guy. My desk is very much lined up in terms of priority. I do this first, and his is just a bunch of stuff, and that's the way he works, and he thrives in that. And the only way I thrive is organized, and we're lucky. We're very, very lucky. It's very unusual to have that kind of ability to have both sides, because the brains don't work that way. And a little bit of tussle's good, right? That he challenges me and I challenge him back.
Oh, I'd love to see a Snowden Brothers tussle. No, really, fool, really. You wrestle like
No,
a
we
little.
don't. We-
Royal Rumble.
We go back to this. When I was a kid, I got you. Because he could probably get me today. I'm a little bit older than he is, but back then I had the upper hand. Today I think he spends more time in the gym because he spends more time in China.
That's
Lot
right.
of
So
extra
I got to
time
be a
hanging
little bit.
out.
I got to be a little bit careful with my critique.
Right.
There
So
you
he's
go.
more perfect than I am. That's for sure.
So you got Jane in the shoe. What's kind of the growth strategy? Where you talked a little bit about who your customer is, but if you were to kind of organize your thoughts around where you're headed with this brand and what opportunities it will build out for the broader company, talk to us more about that dynamic.
Yeah, so I think our deal is we are not trying to be everybody for every time, everywhere, all the time, at every price. That's not us. And so I try to give people the analogies of, there's Starwood Hotel Groups, there's Delta Airlines, you can go everywhere and stay in any city at any price. I think we want to be the Virgin America, which is now Alaska Airlines. And we want to be a boutique hotel that people know your name and it's cool and it's interesting. We want to be that unique space. We have, I think, in the industry, a lot of people that fill that big, broad scale.
Right.
And I think the opportunity today for us is finding that niche space and getting in there and filling it and we call it being a great partner with great people. And if we can find those great people and do great things together, that is usually a winning formula. That's what our formula has been in the past. We're from Seattle, and so there's a lot of stuff going on right there, right now. And we have a lot of great companies there, Microsoft, Amazon, Boeing, Starbucks, Costco, Expedia, all this stuff. And so you're surrounded by success. And I think when you're surrounded by success, a lot of it rubs off on the people and in the
City's
environment.
got a vibe, man. It
People
so
just
does.
think differently. They walk differently. Their attitude's a little bit different. Maybe it's getting a little bit more arrogant today, which is probably not the best. But, people just have a will to get things done there. And it's just interesting. It just rubs off. And people say, well, give me an example. I'm like, I don't know that I can
hard
give you
to
an
pinpoint.
example. It's like charisma.
Yeah.
What's charisma? Why
Right.
is somebody charismatic? They just are. And it's
Well, I think that's why people
it's
go
a
to New York.
magnet,
There's a
it's a-
vibe. There's a buzz.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
hit the street, and all of a sudden, you got a pep in your step.
Yep.
You don't know why it's going on, but it's just like
you walk
you're-
fast, you
yep.
talk fast, you do it, and
Yep.
and so Seattle's kind of getting
Yep.
like that. I grew up there, so I remember what it was like before, and it's just a different city today. And people come and go, "Oh my God, what a great place!" And we were the hidden jewel for a while, and I think that's no longer the
Yeah,
case.
it's gone.
And of course, Amazon, big
Yeah.
employer.
Yeah.
City's a big place now, and
Yeah.
you get growing pains.
Yeah.
But so
Well, all these cities are clamoring like idiots to welcome the Amazon HQ2 or whatever
Yeah.
to their and 3 of the top whatever are in the DC area. So if we land that, Bill, you're gonna have to set up Jane in the Shoe East Coast, Snowden Brothers East Coast, so you can continue to feed off
Matt
the
has a
vibe.
big garage.
I do.
Yeah, and I would tell you, Amazon, honestly, they do more things good, right?
Yeah.
They bring more positive energy and more positive things. I mean, this is not a bang on Amazon thing. It's just a matter of it's a different world today, right? You don't have a brick and mortar strategy. You have a digital strategy. You talk differently, and now you don't talk about timing and seasons and store open, store close. You're open 24/7. And I went to this thing in Seattle the other day about private equity and something for 2018, and they're like 80% or 85% of millennials today start their purchase process on Google and Amazon.
Yep.
And like, oh my God,
Yep.
are you kidding? And that's unfathomable, right? It's
Yep.
like,
Yep.
I'm going to go shopping.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm like,
Instantly.
okay.
Jasmine's nodding.
Hi.
Yeah. So
Jasmine's like, yeah, you guys.
Yeah, what's the
hey,
big
you
deal?
old guys,
Exactly.
wake up.
It sounds like what you're saying though. When you were saying, you're not trying to be everything to everyone. You figure out what your lane is. You head down that lane. You make some mistakes. You readjust. And my guess is the mistakes that you make, if you have the right partners, they'll be honest with you. And part of, I guess, the process is getting that feedback and being honest with yourself as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, it's hard to look in the mirror,
recalibrate.
right?
Yeah.
That's for sure. I think what we tell people is we're going to be open and honest with you. We're going to tell you some good things sometimes. We're going to tell you some bad things sometimes. Be understanding. Be a great partner. Sometimes we'll give. Sometimes we'll need to take. But if we all have the same end in sight, we'll get there together.
Yep.
I think, today the expectation of pace is so different, right?
Yeah.
everybody expects it tomorrow, and I think they're still organic kinds of things. So kind of like us for the brand, we drop a rock in the pond and it kind of trickles out like this. We try to be narrow and deep with people versus try to go and try to find everything. But that little concentric ring that kind of develops, if it develops at a nice pace that we can manage it, if we get out of control, we'll do nobody a favor, right? Then we're just going to mess everybody up. So we try to be thoughtful around that.
How is it working with your factory groups? Because maybe you've got smaller orders than some of the larger brands that can come in and say, I can guarantee you, 10,000 orders, and you're coming in and saying, I need 2,000. Are you having to find where the capacity is, and how do you manage that kind of situation?
Yeah, we've had partnerships over there for 30 years too, which helps, right? And obviously that's changed. I think what you have today, we have a private label business that supports the brand as well. So we were able to, fortunately, have a little bit of opportunity to kind of go through that. But we sat down with the factories, said the same thing. Hey, here's our business model. Here's where we want to go. We'd love to partner with you guys. Here's what we need to do to support in the short term. Here's what the rewards are in the long term. And most people get that today. Most people know it's not a, boy, let's turn it on and here's, a month's worth of production and I can do this for 12 months for you.
But what you're saying is very interesting to me, because I think a lot of people would go to that factory group and make an ask and not have a game plan like you just said. Here's what I'm asking. Here's what I need for the short term.
Right.
Here's a long term payoff.
Right.
We have a strategy if you can work with us. Most people just go in and say, I need 2,000 pairs. Can you do it? And that's it.
Right.
So,
and a lot of times they'll go to the next factory. And you go around the circle. Well, it's a small circle over there. It's a big country, but it's a small circle. And by the way, you only need to do that 2 or 3 times, and the circle will fill itself for you. Everybody's going to know the game. So
the door shuts.
Same way, you just be open and honest and say, hey, here's what we want to get done. And, luckily we have a 30-year history that gives us the opportunity to do that. Most people will trust us. But, you still need support.
Right.
I mean, it's a new brand, and you need the retailers, and, we're going to stumble somewhere along the way. You don't plan to stumble. You only plan to win.
Right.
And then if you plan to win, we will have time to figure out what happens when you stumble.
Let's pivot over to the trend side, because the one thing I've always envied about you, Bill, is that once a quarter I'm texting with you and you're up, I'm on the train to Paris, or I'm on my way to Milan, and life is tough. And I want to talk, a lot of people may not understand that there is a curation process. Even if you're in mid-tier, accessible fashion footwear for juniors, that you are curating trends on an ongoing basis. So walk us through that process and how you've been doing that for years and why it's so important.
Yeah, I think, today it's much different, right? Because everybody goes. There's no secrets anymore.
Right.
And you can find a lot of it online. The difference, I think, that Rick and I do, and maybe it's not a secret, we think it is, but is we talk to people.
Yeah.
And the difference is, you used to be before the internet, before you could see what was over there, you only could find it when you got there, and you'd land and go, oh, I can't wait to get to the store because it's going to see. Well, now I already know what's in the store. Now I go for, okay, what is it? So I picked up this shoe the other day, and the ornamentation's a big deal today. And it's really expensive, but ornamentation on the outsole. And I was looking at it going, what's different about this shoe? I couldn't figure it out, and I was like, I touched this, and it wasn't a stud on the outsole. It was actually an emboss with a silver print. I'm like, boy, that just saved $250 a pair. And I'm like, and you can't get that online. You have to go there and actually get there and physically touch it and hold it, right? Because, it looks good online. It's a picture. Everybody can get airbrushed. You can kind of make it perfect. And the other thing is, you need to talk, and we go over there consistently, so you see the same people. Okay, what's selling? Well, we really thought this would sell, and it's not, because whatever. And we're really surprised that's still selling. Okay, why is that? Well, because she had it before and she will have it, or she hasn't seen it for a long time, or and you get that rapport, and that's really where the information comes from.
Is this precursor to what trends will essentially inevitably arrive in the U.S.?
Yes, except they're getting faster, right? Because a lot of the European brands are over here today.
Right.
Topshop, Kurt Geigers, and Dunes, and all those kinds of people. But she's online today, so she already sees it, so you can't be too far away. Fortunately, today you can't buy a lot of this online and ship to the U.S. It's getting better, right?
Right.
A lot of those guys ship to the U.S. now, so that's going to be part of it. But part of it's how, it's like art. You look at it, and I see something different than Andy and you. And so Rick has this really innate ability to say, if we just take this and switch it just a little bit and take this from over here and add that, it's a winning combination.
Which markets are important? Like, if you were advising, like, what are the ones that you hit up every time you go over?
You hit the same usual suspects, right? You go to Milan, Paris, London. I think what we've tried to do is go to new ones seasonally and kind of figure it out. we go to Berlin, we go to Barcelona, we went to Copenhagen a couple times. What else is on the list? Rick went to Stockholm.
Oh, cool.
We want to go to Russia. We were going to Portugal next year for spring. I mean, so you kind of just, and honestly, today you can go in the U.S. some places and find a little bit of those niche kinds of things once in a while. But you see a ton of the shoe people over there, for the most part, right?
Yeah.
You all kind of circle in the
Making
same.
the rounds.
But like in a museum, I see something different than you see, right? It's like it's in the eye of the beholder, and Rick has that just sixth sense that these things will work and this won't.
Right.
It works for us.
That's cool, man.
What are some other things that might be surprising to folks? We talk all the time. Someone that I was speaking at a conference the other day, and someone raised their hand, was asking about customs, and we're asking why it was so high, and you have to explain that again and again. But there's some like little hidden things to this industry that someone getting into it, when they're making that shoe and it's awesome and they found the right partner.
Yep.
And then there's still those things as soon as it hits the factory and you're starting to ship. There's other things, right? Compliance issues, making sure it's tested right, making sure you take it into the right place, make sure you have the right warehouse partner, the customs issues, making sure it's labeled right. All those things go into it. And I'm sure you may handle that on your side, or Rick may, but it's one of those things where it's attention to detail, just not on the shoe. Like you were saying, that one little thing can make a difference in the price of the shoe, but it's all these other little things as
Massive
well you
attention to
lined
detail.
up, right?
And things you would have never expected, right? Honestly, we lean on you guys. You guys provide a lot of that information for the factories and a lot of that information for the retailers. It's a great resource in terms of, hey, this is what you need to make sure and do and continue to do. I mean, you guys know I text you guys all the time, hey, whatever. And within minutes, you guys are like, oh, this. I'm like, perfect. And so I think if you don't have those things today, I'm a big fan of you guys. And when I talk to people, like, why do we need FDRA? You have no idea why you need FDRA, because there's so much stuff that you guys provide, not only in that space, but in the learning space. I told you, Andy, that I wanted to go to that digital thing. I just got stuck in my booth because I'm on a dog on a leash.
Well,
and a shoe show, you're a dog on a leash, right?
You actually got to make sales. You actually got to do the business,
you do have to
right?
sell shoes. But, it's just all those things you really don't have an appreciation for that get stuck. And I have a really I'll give you guys off air my U.S. Customs story coming back from Montreal last week. It's a personal story, but yeah, it's just there are things you're never prepared for. You can't prepare for everything, and I think what you have to have is a good infrastructure, know where to go to find the answer. I think what you guys provide today is amazing in terms of what people can go to for answers for you guys. The whole duty thing now. You can send in the pictures and get all that stuff. If you have a question about anything, it's amazing. So you need that support. You need those people around you that can at least tell you where to go to get the answer, right?
Yeah, that's true. So with that, what's kind of the parting knowledge you would lay on some of our listeners who are thinking about launching a brand, or they're stuck in a place, they're doing something they don't love, and I don't want to get all Tony Robbins on them, but what are kind of the final things before we throw it over to Jasmine that you think are so vitally important to be successful after you've done this for so many years?
So many years.
So long.
And I've got so many years to go. I have young kids. Honestly, people. You have to find great people, whether it's on the retail side, whether it's
even if it's your brother.
Even if it's your brother. You just can't do it alone. And you need to find whoever that person is going to support you and believe in you and trust in you. And it's... I have a buddy of mine in Seattle that asked me to interview this gal because he hired her boyfriend, and now she's commuting from New York. Come to find out, this girl that he's wanting me to interview, I actually knew her from 10 years ago from a previous job.
What?
And they're in the gaming business. And so, like I said, it's a small world, right, in the shoe business, but it's people. It all boils down to the same thing, people. You need a good organization like you guys. You need a great factory partner. You need a great retailer.
It's all relational, man.
It's all relational. No matter how much you want to do on a digital thing, you can text and do all those things and send an email. But if you don't sit down and look somebody in the eye and get somebody to believe you and say, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do it together. It's going to be hard. It's going to hurt. It's going to be fun. And it's going to be successful. That would be it.
Yeah.
You can do it.
USA.
Speaking of good people, Jasmine.
Jasmine.
Yes.
You are
Come
good
on,
people.
Jasmine, let's go.
Jasmine's good people. So
She's
Jasmine,
been so nice and quiet this whole time.
well, she's about to
Come
unleash
on,
fury
Jasmine,
on
let's
us.
go. Uh-oh. You're
Well-
over time. Get off.
Merciless.
Get off.
I do have something to say
I
about.
wear size 6. I would like red, green, and blue.
Exactly.
Here's my address.
Do you guys? Okay, so I've been noticing a lot of leather, not only in like the boots that I've been seeing on
Yep.
the floor, but also like some of the sneaker choices and slip-ons. And I'm starting to see leather in brighter colors, like because you're used to seeing like a lot of browns, and
Yep.
I'm starting to see
Boring.
like reds and burgundies. And you guys, Matt and Andy, always wear leather anytime we have like an event.
She's
And
saying
would
we're
you,
boring.
no, but would you wear a colored one?
Don't take offense to that.
I don't.
Would you do a blue leather shoe? Would
Absolutely.
you? Okay, all
I
right.
absolutely would.
I actually have a blue leather sneaker that I
Oh,
got
wow,
in
okay.
Paris.
Okay,
look at
Galeries
you.
Lafayette. Oui, oui, oui.
Whoa. Bill was on the corner having a cappuccino.
Probably.
I was having an espresso and a glass of wine.
Exactly.
Cut of cheese.
Bill, do you have any leather that you're incorporating in any of your brands or any of your designs, or what kind of materials are you using? Or
So in the brand, we talk a lot about toe shape and texture. Texture
Okay.
for us is material in general. So it can
Okay.
be, there's actually today, probably the biggest thing going on is fabrics, fabrications and finishes and stuff like that. So we have leather that's got different finishes, different kinds of embosses and prints,
okay,
different washes and all those kinds of things. And then sometimes you just need great solid leather because,
Yep.
it's just part of what it is. But we don't get hung up in leather as much as we get hung up in what's the right texture for the right style.
okay.
And
All
today,
right, yeah.
because everything's all about, our girl tells us it's two things: versatility and
Yeah.
comfort.
Absolutely,
Right? And so
yeah.
those are the two things.
You have
and
a
so we
lot of
just-
range.
Total.
Yeah, for creativity.
Are those your two things, Jasmine?
I would say comfort is number one.
Yeah.
And two, yeah, I can agree with that. Comfort being one, and then versatility being two, because I want something that I like to change up my style. I don't like to
Right.
get stuck in one thing. You can see me in anything. I can have boots on one day, I can have sneakers on the other day, heels. So it's like I definitely like
You gotta have everything.
versatility.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I think the one thing, because we play in the digital generation, she tells us all these study groups is unfortunately or fortunately, she is very not brand loyal. Today,
Really?
she has designer bags, she has cheap tops, expensive bottoms, or vice versa. She shops up and down.
Right.
There's no value, and it's all about value of the product that you purchase. But if there's no value, and I have to shop at this level or this retailer or this space, it's about how you curate a unique look to yourself.
Yeah.
I don't
can
want to be
agree
like
with that.
everybody else, right? You want to have your own spin on it. You're fashion aware.
Right.
You're fashion conscious. You're not a slave to fashion.
Yes.
But it's a fun arena to play in, right? And so you want to mix and match and have your own personal
Yeah.
curated style.
Yeah. I don't feel
I'm
constrained.
so in touch with my inner female side right now.
Andy and I are going to go have a beer
Come on,
at the bar.
Feel that inner female. Feel it.
I am speechless.
Oh, I just heard you open that can. There it is. Pour me
Maybe I
another
can
one, he
find the
said.
answers at the bottom.
After about the fifth one, you can find the answer.
That's exactly right.
But yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. But I also think that comes with age. So like as I get older, I do feel like I have more of a brand loyalty, and then I feel like I might have just been kind of playing around when I was,
Dabbling.
18, 19.
Playing
just
the
figuring out
brand
what I was.
field.
Now
Yeah.
that you're 20,
Now,
Now
that she's
that
found
I'm
herself.
can I reach over and hug her and say, now she's 20 now? I just scored points.
Well, I got 17 yesterday, so
Oh, snap. That's
I'm
awesome.
aging every day.
By the way, I got carded this week. I ordered a beer, and hey, can I have your ID, please? I'm like,
Nice.
really? Did
Well, I'll
you
just
really
take mine
ask me
out
that?
before I
So I
order.
texted all my friends, I just got carded.
Awesome. Well, folks, we hope you've enjoyed the conversation as much as we've enjoyed having it and having Bill here at the booth.
Yeah, awesome.
Really appreciate your honesty about trying to create the brand, and it's really interesting how we know you're going to be successful because you're willing to take a risk, but it also sounds like you thought really deeply about who you're trying to connect with. And I think that's one of the key takeaways is know who your customer is and build the business around that customer.
Yep.
Focus.
Focus
If you're
on
not
it.
focused, you can get caught up in a lot of different distractions. I mean, we get caught up in distractions trying to figure out our social media strategy. You just got to get in, stay focused, and keep your head down and
And
come up for a
execute.
breath once in a while. Come up, and by the way, have fun. If
Yeah.
you don't have fun, forget it. you won't get there.
Forget about it.
Forget about it.
Yep.
Just
Folks,
have fun.
Folks, you can catch us on Twitter, on Facebook. We're on all the social media channels. It's at Shoein. You can catch us on our website, shoeinshow.com. That way you can look at all the other episodes we've teed up for you guys to go through the whole library. You can subscribe on iTunes and it'll download automatically into your podcast app every Monday.
That's
so
right.
You can listen to our beautiful voices every single week.
Every Monday morning commute.
And if you have a topic that you want to talk about, we talked about this topic in particular because we're always getting asked about starting a brand and what to think about and how to process that and where do I go and how do I do these things and things to think about. So if you have a topic on something like that in particular, anything in the industry, we want to hear from you. We want the show to help people better understand the industry, better understand the business side so that we can all succeed together.
Well said, my
yeah.
friend.
Nice
Well
job.
said.
And until then, for Matt, for Jasmine, for the Snowden Brothers,
Oh, yeah.
this
Hello.
is Andy Polk, and Shoein is out.
Shoein has been brought to you by
There
the
it is.
FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. For information about FDRA, visit fdra.org.